All right, what's up, guys? Good, it started. We are getting ready to start Module 3, okay? And as I listed at the beginning of writing before you read this message, um, uh, we are going in order of Dave Ramsey and of the module, but it's in a certain order for a reason. So the first thing we talked about in Module 1 is the importance of saving money, how to find little tricks and tips to create good habits, things like that, because that's the base for building good financial health, wealth, all that kind of stuff. You can find a way to save money here and there. That creates the ability to start generating money even now before you have a career and income, an actual income. Then the second thing we talked about is debt, credit, how to use it smartly, how to use it intelligently, and then also how important it is to avoid debt whenever possible. Again, if you can pay with cash, you can find a way to get around having to use credit. We want to do that because the second step to being financially healthy is being clear of any unnecessary debt, because interest rates, money going out instead of money coming in, is a killer. You can't build wealth until you get rid of the things that are holding you back, such as debt. I'm not as much as Dave Ramsey says, get your emergency funds, get your savings in order. The next thing is get completely rid of all debt, which is okay. But again, if you're going to buy a house, there's a good chance that you probably won't be able to do that without going into debt for at least 10, 15 years minimum, absolutely, unless you're getting a really small house, which isn't necessarily bad, but most people don't want the smallest house possible. I'm not quite as much as him, but again, we want to build good habits, start saving money, get an emergency fund, so that way we're set, we're stable. Then we want to get use credit wisely or as little as possible. Then the next step is a little bit more fun, because that's where we are working on our earning power. Okay, so we're going to be talking about getting a job and how to decide what things to look for, what things that are out there that you should know about before you say yes to a job, no to a job, that kind of thing. And so we're not just talking about just finding a job. We're going to talk about education now, why your education in high school, even for you seniors, is still important now. Some of it may not apply to you as much for high school because you're almost done. But then also your different options going forward beyond high school. Again, because a lot of people think, you have college or work. But there's a lot of different types of education you can have after high school. It's not just, go to SEMO or go to McDonald's and get a job. There's a lot more than that, okay? Again, I just obviously picked two things. There's a lot of other things out there that you know about. But we're going to look at all the different options and also look at, see if we can look at a couple different jobs and look at the benefits of them. But the most important thing we're going to start out with is looking at, let's just hope this one works. I just picked it up. We'll see. Oh, good. All right, so the first thing is, this is going to be a lot to this beginning, is we talk about self-marketing, okay? We're going to be looking at a couple things, but what we really need to know first is you need to know yourself. You need to know what interest you have. A lot of people go through, of course they could, if you ask somebody what things you're interested in, they could list some things. But if you get deep into saying, what activities do you really enjoy and why, a lot of them just say, I don't know, I do it because my friends do it, or, I've just always have done it. But we need to know what things interest you. Again, in the email you should have already listed 5 activities, events, things that that interest you. Again, things that you would do even if you weren't forced to, or you do them even though they may add a little bit of hassle to your life. Maybe you take guitar lessons, maybe you take karate lessons, and even though it takes a little bit of money and time out of your week, you're like, I really enjoy doing this, so I'm going to keep doing it. Again, even though there's those of you that probably get good grades, there's probably times where you're like, man, this homework, is just not interesting to me. So homework, for most people, again, there's probably some of you out there that maybe really enjoy a challenge and like testing your brain. So homework could be something that, I'd be doing things like that even if I wasn't forced to. So again, probably not for most of you. So that was an example of something that most of you probably would not put. Even though you want to have good grades, wanting to do homework isn't something you do anyways if you weren't forced to. But again, think about things. Those 5 things should have been things that you are really interested in. But we need to know ourselves, and it's going to be about marketing yourself. How to get your information out there. You are an item, basically. When it comes down to getting a career, you're an item, and everything up to the point where you're getting ready to go to work, all of that is like the prefab, which means prefabrication. So like high school, college, organizations you're involved in, from teen years up to early 20s. Those are all things preparing you to put on the shelf to see if you can be picked by a business to go work for them. Okay, so it's all about how do I make myself look good? How do I, have good experience? Again, not only do you want an item that looks good, but you want to have like a warranty or a guarantee that, this item is going to work because it's been tested, it's been proved. You can look at these reviews and see what other things have. That's what all items have that end up doing well. Okay, and do well for a long time. Obviously, there's things like little fads, and then someone finds out, Tide balls are not safe, or Tide Pods are not safe because little kids will eat them and stuff. But then they go back, figure it out and how to make them safer so kids can't just get into them. But that's what you are. You are a product, and we've got to get you marketable, okay? Or not even just marketable, but the best marketing possible. So that means getting the proper education, the proper licenses, and all those kinds of things for what it is you want to do, if you know what that is yet. And many of you, even if you know what it is, there's a good chance that most of you, there might be 1 or 2 of you that actually goes into what you're thinking about right now if you have something. But a lot of people change by the end. All right? So we're going to flip over to the module real quick, not for much, and look at a couple things. All right. So again, the students that are an example for this module are Kevin and Gina. And as usual, they have problems. Again, very common problems. But Kevin is, like some of you, thinking about college and worried about where to go, what to do, those kinds of things. But also, not only that, but how to pay for it. Okay? And, college is a very expensive thing, which we'll get into later. Thank you. Bless you as well. But again, he doesn't know exactly what he wants to do, and who wants to go to a college and pay $20,000 a year to end up doing something that he could have done somewhere else or needs to go somewhere else anyways. So we'll use him, some of his examples to look at, what do we do for college? How are we going to pay for it? It's this huge bill, and we don't have the money or all the scholarships we need to pay for it all. All right, and then Gina, she's looking at a different route. She loves working on cars. All right, so kind of like Megan Fox in Transformers. One of them, I can't remember which one, but I remember she liked working on cars with her dad or uncle or something. I don't know, but she's like that. Okay, she likes working on cars. So she's thinking maybe she could go to college. She could work full time. She could maybe go to a school to learn more about working on cars. So she's not sure what she wants to do either. So we'll look at Kevin and Gina a little bit closer as we go along. But we're also going to hop into a PowerPoint just for a second. All right. So again, our goal is to invest in yourself, okay? We want to maximize your earning potential. Not everybody's going to have a huge, amazing six-digit, six-figure earning potential. Not everybody wants that. Everybody's fine, again, with being a teacher or being a social worker because you like working with people, or being, whatever it is. Not everybody needs to have that, but we might as well get the most out of whatever it is you're going to do. Whether you want to be, maybe you want to be open your own little food stand in downtown somewhere and just sell food. Okay, but you might as well get the most out of it as you can. Okay, and that way, because your earning potential that can help decide what dreams you can achieve, what things you do later on in life, and we'll look at how your career, and we'll talk about the difference between a career and a job in a little bit. We'll look at how that can impact other areas of your life. All right, and again, we'll answer those questions, things like that. But again, investing in yourself means that you have to put time into it. Investments build with time. All right, so you have to invest in yourself, and that means also care about what you do, not just do things at random. All right, if you randomly invest in the stock market, you'll at best break even. Okay, if not lose a whole bunch. Again, yeah, there is a one in if you have lottery type of chances to make money that way, but you have to do research. You have to make sure you know what you're doing. You plan ahead. Okay, you look and see, oh, this company's going to do well. Well, that's what you have to do with your life. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to take this class, I'm going to take that class, and at the end hope you have everything you need for what you want to do. You've got to invest in yourself, which means time and thought is placed to it. All right, how your career can impact your life. Now, job, career, occupation, those are going to be used pretty liberally because they all mean something similar. But I do want you to write down what I have as a difference between occupation or career, and a job. Those are two different things. Occupation and career, those are, well, I'll start out with job actually. If you guys have seen I think it's a tweet where a guy in, I think, Best Buy has explained the difference between the juice and the sauce. The juice is temporary. It may be nice, it may be okay, but the juice is just temporary. It'll go away eventually. The sauce is forever. Never forget that. The sauce is forever. And so the sauce is your career or occupation. A job is temporary. A job is something you have now. It may be all right. It may have good hours, may pay a little bit, but a job isn't something that you have for your life. It's not something that you can build a life off of, a family off of, that kind of thing. A job is something you have until you start your career. Okay? For example, I have a pretty good one. Before I started teaching, I worked at Regional Express, a delivery company. Now you might see, if you in Cape, you might see Rex. Okay, that's Regional Express. I drove one of their vans around and delivered for 2 years, and that was my job. But I could have done it forever, but there were no benefits. Believe it or not, I actually made less than I do as a teacher, which is impressive. Like, really, it's impressive. But the hours were good, Now, some of you may not think that, but I worked from basically 5:15 to 1 or 2. I mean, being done at 1 or 2 is pretty nice, and you have the sun doesn't go down for 8 hours, and I can be outside all day or whatever. That's pretty nice. And to let me coach still, I was able to coach and work at the same time, so that was nice. But again, that was just a job. I'm not going to be able to pay for things later in life making $14,000 a year off of my job. Now again, the sauce or the occupation or career, that is what you're going to be building the rest of your life towards. Now again, that doesn't mean that if you switch off of that it wasn't your career or job. Again, the average American works about 5 to 10 different jobs. All right, some people switch a whole bunch and kind of bring it up, but rarely does someone work in one position, one job the whole time. Even if it's a small change, people usually go through different changes. All right, so again, think about it. Job is the juice. The juice is temporary. It's just something you're in for a while. But when you get to the sauce or the career occupation, the sauce, that's forever, okay? Or long term at least. All right, now we're going to start with lifestyle, all right? Your career, the job or career that you get, will help decide what kind of lifestyle you're going to lead. All right. If you are interested in going out to eat at fancy restaurants, housing a lot of people, or not housing, inviting people over to have get-togethers at your place, and have a big enough place to have a lot of people over, your job will decide that. Okay, you can't go out and eat at, the most expensive place, Saffron, every night, or Red Lobster every night if you aren't going to be making lots of money. Okay, you have to make a certain level of money to do that. Okay, some of these can work into other things as well. So we'll come around to some others. But again, your lifestyle is very important. Or if you like having a lot of vacation and taking it when you want, some jobs are easier than others. Okay. For example, again, going back to Rex, Regional Express, taking vacations is not as easy. We only got the weekends, obviously. We didn't work weekends, and we didn't work Thanksgiving. We didn't work Christmas, and the 4th of July. We had like 5 days throughout the year where we didn't go into work. Every other day was working. We didn't get off for Labor Day. We didn't get off for President's Day, things like that. If stores were open, we delivered to them. So again, you could ask off in advance, but you're not getting any paid vacation. You don't have any insurance. You don't have this. You don't have that. So your lifestyle will be affected by that. Okay. Or obviously, once you get to a teacher, you get a whole planned vacation for you. You get 2 months off. Well, unless you're teaching summer school. Anyways, money management habits. Your job will impact what kind of money management habits you need to have. Okay. Maybe you're making just enough to get by with what you want to do. Well, you're going to better be good at managing your money. No matter how much money you make, you'll need to do that. But it'll help decide what kind of habits you need to create. All right. Again, maybe you work at a job they pay in cash. You don't have to worry about setting up things like automatic deposit and those types of things. But maybe you do. And you have to worry about setting those things up. So money management habits are important. Financial goals. Okay, certain financial goals. Again, maybe before your kids even be 20, you want to have their colleges paid for, things like that. You want to have all that kind of stuff set out. Or your next house, you want to have that planned out. You maybe buy a cheap one, you want to have a more expensive one when you get a little bit older. To reach those financial goals, or maybe to have your retirement at a certain age, to have those financial goals, your career will decide that, or at least play a very large role in deciding it. So what kind of goals you want? Some people, it's really important that they, at one point in their life, they can say they're a millionaire, which isn't really that hard to do. It's not very hard to become a millionaire if that's your goal. Again, I wouldn't advise doing a lot of monetary goals because they don't really mean anything. Oh yeah, you have $1 million, which means I can buy things, but you really haven't achieved anything as far as emotionally, spiritually, that kind of stuff. All right, then future jobs and pay. So wherever you're working at now impacts your future. I would highly suggest at some point in your high school career, if you haven't, work somewhere, even if it's only a couple hours a week. All right, get out there and work. Realize what work is, and yeah, it may not be great. You may not love it, but learning to work and earning money, earning what it means like to say, this may only be $50 for this 2 weeks that I just worked, but I put the work in and they gave me the money because I earned it. That can go a long way. And even if the job you do during high school or right when you get out of college may have nothing to do with your next job, your career maybe, that still plays a role. I mean, we're all interconnected. We all interact with each other. So any job will either look good on a resume, as long as you do a good job there, if you do what you're supposed to well. But that can affect your next thing, the next thing you do, okay? And obviously, if you can get into a job, again, an early thing that leads into the next thing very well, maybe you volunteer or you help out at a vet clinic, and then you want to become a veterinarian, I bet that would make you look a little bit better, boost you up the scale by having that early job. All right, then health and happiness. All right, what makes you happy? Do you need to be off at the same time every day? Or are you someone that would rather be on call? All right, just looking at a couple different things. If you're a teacher, depending on what you choose to help out with and stuff, you work from probably 7 in the morning till 4 o'clock is on average. All right. And of course, if you do teaching or take on organizations, that adds time, takes away time. Then you have homework and things to grade. But that's pretty regular. Okay. Whereas if you're a firefighter, you work for 5 days. Again, everyone's probably a little bit different, but usually it's like 5 days you work straight. You don't go home. You spend the night at the fire station, and then you get 2 weeks off. 5 days, 2 weeks off. 5 days, 2 weeks off. Or maybe adjusted, maybe 5 days, a week off, 3 days, a week off, But it's not consistent, all right? It changes, and you're gone for a long time, that kind of stuff. So that could affect if that makes you happy or not. Or do you like being physical, all right? If you don't want to be in a cubicle all day, your job would decide how happy you are. And then health. Again, another example, a firefighter or my dad who's a funeral director. There's times at night that the funeral home's responsible for going out and picking up when someone passes away. So if there's at a nursing home or there's an accident and there's, the police aren't involved because it wasn't like a murder or anything like that, the funeral home has to go pick them up. So that means sometimes at 11:30, at 1:30, at 3:30, he might get a call that says, hey, you need to go pick up a body. So you have to go in, you have to get dressed, you have to put on a tie and stuff, and then you have to go in at 3:30, pick up a body, take it back to the funeral home, and then you get to go back to bed. And guess what? You might work 8 a.m. the next day, even though you had to go pick a body up at 3:30. It's just the way things are. So again, those kinds of things are important to know as well. And as we go around, all right, and just know that again, investing in yourself is the best way to find the thing that is going to make you happy. And again, we did this a little bit, but we need to start paying attention to what interests you, what makes you happy. Either you need to have that somehow included in your job, or your job should allow for you to continue doing what interests you. All right? But again, you need to take charge. Don't just do things at random. Take control. All right? This is what I need to do. This is what I'm going to do to achieve the career that I'm going to have or that I want to have. All right? You need to expand your options. So this is going kind of different than the one before, but you can't settle in too early. Okay? Don't settle into this is what I'm going to do. There's 2 things you need to do. There's for 2 reasons you want to expand your options. One, you have not experienced everything yet. Some of you go out there and you've done college visits, maybe you've done shadowing, which are great things, but there is still more out there. So leave your options open and keep learning new things. You never know when you're running that thing and you thought you were set, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, this is awesome. I want to do this for the rest of my life. Keep your options open. But for another reason is the thing that you love, you want to do, may not work out. All right? Something may happen in your family. Something may happen to your grades. Maybe you just didn't think, I thought I'd understand this and I'm not getting it. Or maybe your tuition falls through, your scholarship falls through. Something happens and option A doesn't work. Even if that's what you absolutely wanted to do, you better have a plan B, because plan B, an unplanned plan B, is going to be much worse than if you had something in mind for, well, I really was planning on being a physical therapist, but maybe this or that happened for whatever reason. Maybe you got an illegal thing, so you're not allowed to work on people. You had too much fun one night in college and you got arrested, and this thing on your record is keeping you from getting the job you want. If you've seen Horrible Bosses 2, or Horrible Bosses, or I guess either of them. But anyways, the one guy got a child, what's that called? He was a registered sex offender, okay? He didn't actually do anything, but the situation he happened to get into, that was what it was designated as. And so he couldn't have a choice of jobs. Again, I don't know how many of you have seen that movie, but you know what I'm talking about if you have. Anyways, but be in position to take advantage of opportunities. That means keep an eye out, look for opportunities to maybe learn from someone that's doing what you're interested in. Again, when we do those shadowing days here at Saxony, and you get a chance to go out and follow someone, don't just pick someone you know you're going to go have a good time with. Pick someone that you want to actually learn from, okay? Something you're interested in. Again, some more examples. I think a year or two ago when we did those shadowing, I think juniors do the shadowing. A lot of people, about 15 people, went to go watch with Coach Crawford at his chiropractor's office. That's not bad. Being a chiropractor is not a bad thing, but I doubt 15 people wanted to go there because they want to be chiropractors. Like, oh, Coach Crawford's fun, let's go hang out with Coach Crawford. Well, you're wasting an opportunity, okay? Plan ahead, think about who you want to go watch. I know my sister watched a radiologist. Pretty sure that's what it was. I think it was radiologist. She was thinking about being a radiologist. She didn't know the person. She had to set everything up, and it would not have been as comfortable as going to watch someone she knew. But she learned about it. She understood what it is now, and she's not doing that. But that may have helped her make that decision. All right. And again, obviously, if we have all these things, if we know what you can do, and you have a lot of different abilities and things you've learned to do, then you'll rebound faster off of being unemployed, whether it's your fault or not. And then obviously, you also will enjoy the work you do because you're well prepared. All right. We're going to pause it. Sorry, I just noticed that the whole thing wasn't on there, so you can just look at it and pause it real quick if you didn't get the words on that side of the screen. So there it is. All right, we're going to jump into a couple other things to do with investing in yourself, looking at things that you need to do for yourself. But I'm going to go ahead and jump into a quick early little assignment where we look at 2 different occupations just to compare them to see what they're like. This is the worksheet. It's already downloaded on 2+ portals. And this first side is just examples. Now here's just one rule I want you to follow. They can't be close to the same thing. So don't be heart surgeon, brain surgeon. Don't be, manager at Macy's, manager at Kohl's. Okay? Make it 2 things different. Again, hairdresser, architect, not that same. Not only are they not the same, but the type of schooling, amount of schooling, that's different as well. But again, these are just examples. All right? I'm going to scroll down. Actually, I don't need to go to the other side. The other side's blank, so you don't need to go over there for anything. All right, but you can see employment outlook. I'll just run through these real quick. Employment outlook is just, is it growing or is it shrinking? Are there more jobs, less jobs? That's what employment outlook is talking about. What is the lower end? Because that's usually what your entry level is going to be. So if it gives you a range of what you can make, usually it's going to be the lower end of things. So if you see, you might make $10 to $20 an hour, $10 probably is entry level. All right. So you just got to look at what is entry level wages like, so you know what you're going to be making when you get out there. All right. Possible concerns. All right. Just for hairdressers, almost half are self-employed, so that means you're not working for somebody. You got to find customers yourself. You got to buy your own stuff. If you're self-employed, that means you have to think. So that's a concern. If you are afraid of or worried, concerned about doing things on your own, that may not be for you. All right. Architects, tons of competition out there, fighting for different things. Or maybe a couple other concerns you may have. If you're a construction or road worker, roof worker, if that's something you want to do, obviously those have an element of danger that go along with it. So concerns are things that you have to be aware of as possible negatives, even though that's, if you love construction, you like building things, you're not going to not do it just because it's dangerous, but it's something you need to realize. I may get hurt and not be able to work for a while. So concerns are, what are some problems with it? Or like doctors, you have super expensive school, and then you have a competitive program. It may take an extra couple of years just because they only allow so many people into the med program that year. So it may cost even more money because you got to stay in school until you get accepted, that kind of thing. So what concerns are there? Hiring requirements. What do you have to have in order to get the job? Okay. If you're going to drive a semi-truck, you have to have a CDL. Doesn't matter what else. Well, I'm sure it does matter what else you have, but you need to have a CDL. Do you have to have a certain degree? Some things have that, some things don't. So what do you have to be required? Or maybe you have a certain number of hours. You can be a pilot. You have to log like 300, 1,000 hours, something like that, of flying before you can do it yourself, by yourself. All right, where can you get training at? So maybe these things are required to, or you have to go to those to get the required courses or the degree. Where can you get that at? So like for hairdresser in Cape, just for example, you could go to Trendsetters is a school that teaches you how to cut hair, things like that. So that'd be an example of something that's not a college, but you can go get the license you need to do that. Of course, again, if it needs a degree, you can find out what schools you need to go to, who offers that. All right, and then you have length of training. So again, something like being a hairdresser, you probably have a minimum number of hours you have to have cut hair before you can graduate and become a hairdresser yourself. Again, to be an architect, you probably have, you can only squeeze so many classes in a semester, so it's probably going to be 6 years of schooling to become an architect. All right, and maybe you have to do a little bit of an apprenticeship, which we'll talk about later. All right, cost of training. So what is it going to cost to go to that hairdresser school? What's it going to cost to go to the university? How much does it cost? All right, and then the last thing is simple. What are 3 skills that you'll need to know in order to be successful at that job? Okay, again, it could be something like working on marketing, because if you're going to be on your own, you have to know, how do I get customers if I'm a single person business? Communication. There has to be a lot of communication between you and the customer on what their hair is going to be like when you're done, because it's really hard to glue hair back on if you mess up. Then some other things, again, research for like architecture. Well, where am I going to be an architect at? And again, you don't want to go somewhere where they're not building things, because then you're kind of useless. So you got to know how to do those kind of things. Again, time management. They have a date the building wants to be done by. You have to have your plans done, adjust your plans constantly. A lot of time and stress management goes along with architecture. Okay, so you're going to do that, and you're going to use this website. It is, if you type in jobcenter.usa.gov, it'll actually bring you to this. It says Career One Stop, but I just typed in jobcenter.usa.gov right there. Okay, so click on that. One thing you will not want to use is job search, because when you use this one, you're not going to get as much information. You might get a little bit, but you're actually going to be finding actual people looking for jobs. They're going to post them on here. Click on it, and that's a way to apply for the job. We're not trying to do that. But if you go to Explore Careers, I want you to do. I thought I clicked on it. Sorry. Oh no, I want to go to. Is it Toolkit? Toolkit. There are 3 things I want you to do. The very first thing I want you to do on this website is take the interest assessment. All right, and it'll ask you things you're interested in, this, that, and the other thing. The only thing I need you to do there is pick of the options they list after you're done. Type them into the worksheet somewhere, or maybe send it as part of a Word document along with it or something. But definitely write down 2 or 3 options that maybe look cool to you after doing the interest assessment. And you're also going to do a skills matcher. So it's going to ask you, how good are you at this thing? How good are you at that thing? And then it'll also give you a list of things. So write down 2 or 3 of those things on what career suggestions they give you. All right, but then to fill out your worksheet, you're going to a couple things you can do. You have target occupations, compare occupations. Either of those can be used. Let's do target occupation. Let's do, type on that. We're going to do electrician. Electrician. I think that's spelled right. There we go. Let's see what happens when I type electricians in. I just picked one, click on career details. All right, so look, you can already see some information right off the bat. Details. Again, in the description type of things or typical job duties, you might find some of the concerns, like you might be dealing with electricity if you're an electrician, so that's a concern. All right, but you have salaries and wages there, so you have that kind of thing. Projected annual job openings every year. There's about 82,000 openings for people to become electricians, or there's space for that in the market. So that looks like an outcome there. Let's see. Tools, technology. Oh, typical training. So it looks like you need a high school. Typical work experience needed for a job in this occupation just says none. So this one's going to be an apprenticeship. Okay, this one says all you need is an apprenticeship, but you still got to find out where you can do that. Most are going to have some sort of license that you need. So electrician may not have been the best because it's not here. But again, to find the price and length of that schooling, you probably just have to actually go find a school that has the training for whatever occupation you're looking at, and then see how long does that program last and how much does it cost to go to that school. Okay, so you'll have to probably leave this to go find that kind of information, but everything else should be on here. And again, remember, you're doing two. You're comparing them to each other, and they have to be different. Okay, so you can maybe there's something you really want to do. You can pick that one, and then pick something that's not like that. Okay, and maybe you have two things that are already different that you're interested in that you want to do. Okay, if you have questions, email me. But this will probably take a little while to find the information. So there may be one more lesson put up, but there probably won't be a lot more work assigned. So good luck. Let's see what kind of information you get on those two jobs. See you next time.